So you think we'll see some apparitions today?
I don't know.
Well, hello there, parapeeps, and welcome to another episode of our Haunted Travels. I'm your host, Shawn Donnelly.
I'm your co-host, Marianne Donnelly.
Today we are back at
Yes.
Fort Lawrence. We've been here before,
Yes.
but they're supposed to have reenactments, and we want to go check that out. However, we just arrived, and I don't know if you can hear, but it's pouring down rain.
It is.
So all the soldiers are undercover at the moment.
They are.
So we're going to sit here and chillax a minute and then go see what we can see.
All right.
Right?
Yep.
Hey, but before we get into that, if you're into the paranormal, history, forensic, and travel type videos,
Don't forget to hit the subscribe button and ding that little bell so you'll hear from us next time we post a new video.
all right, so we're going to take a break and then we're going to go do a check it out thing.
All right.
Okay?
Yep.
All right.
There, what are you taking pictures of?
The soldiers' graves and how they have them marked for the Revolutionary War for
Yeah.
Memorial Day.
But we know something different. They're
We
not
do.
there.
Yeah, they're not there.
They're actually inside. But this was the original cemetery, yes?
Yeah, the original place they found them, yes.
Yeah.
And they have redone the memorial.
Yeah. Oh yeah, they cleaned that up and put new bushes.
Yeah, because before you had to actually go inside there to see it. Like, you couldn't see it from this spot.
Yeah.
So,
Well, the rain has stopped. Probably for maybe about an hour, but that's pretty much what all we need, right?
yeah. So we've been
We've
here,
been here
we
before.
know, but we wanted to come to the reenactment. And
Yeah. So there's the battlefield out there. Gotta look for soldiers. I don't see any yet. Okay. This is the Tomb of the Unknown.
yeah,
Yeah.
their version.
Oh, there's the camp. You said it was in the fort.
It was, yeah. So the encampment is on the site of,
Of
the old fort.
where the fort was.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that's really cool that they put it there.
Yeah. All right. Let's see what we see.
Thank you. Thank you.
do this in July or June, and we never have done this on Memorial Day. And we all know that the Memorial Day is a holiday not to honor veterans. It's to honor veterans who gave their lives in the service of us, their country. We are their country. Including these fellas. There's one man here and a number of other men in the tomb, or entombed in the museum. So we're going to do a small fire line. Present arms. Italian. Rest on your arms. Reverse. Fallen here at Fort Lawrence include Private Atkins, Private Thomas Brittle, Jason Clark, Sergeant Andrew Dunlap, Private Charles Evans, Private William Gibson, Private Timothy Hay, Private Hugh McCurdy, Private George Osborne, Private Greenberry Shores, Private Peter Simmons, Private William Simmons, Corporal Samuel Taylor, and Private John Smith. Come. Shoulder, fire line. Turn and roll. Ready? Take aim! Fire! Three volleys is the customary solution. Make ready! Take aim! Fire! Make ready! Take aim! Fire! Sound Yankee Doodle. Shoulder on. And fix bayonets. Shoulder, fire line. From column into line. The right wheel, march. Front.
And this particular piece that I'm working on is a reproduction of a 1790 American Ipswich lace. This is how the women in Ipswich, Massachusetts supported themselves and their families through the Revolutionary War. It was some other places through the area and stuff like that, but Ipswich is where it was the #1 industry. There were only 601 households in Ipswich, but there were 600 known lace makers. And they made 42,000 yards of lace between 1789 and 1790.
Oh, wow.
And sold it to the lace merchants that bought their food, the seeds for their farm, sent their kids to school. They have records of all of this. So the fun thing, in 1791, Alexander Hamilton called for a census. And they wanted to know what everybody was doing, you know, what the industries were, how many people, your typical census things. Well, ladies of Ipswich sent 36 lace samples to Alexander Hamilton and said, this is what we're doing, and please send it to George Washington because it could really help them. Well, the samples never made it to George Washington, but in the 1950s, someone in the Library of Congress was going through his papers and they found them. So all but one of the black silk were found, and then there were 14 linen ones that were already gone. So no one knows where they went, whether he gave them to somebody, or they were lost. They've never been found. But the black silk ones were all studied and recreated. So now we have, like that book right there, Karen Thompson looked at all these pieces of lace under magnification and figured out every little twist and cross of every thread, and she reproduced them. So this is exactly what they were sending. This is one of the pieces.
Oh, that's cool.
So you only use 4 bobbins at a time. These are called bobbins. This is a pillow. And for this stitch, I need to cross, twist, cross, twist again, put a pin in, do some light tensioning, and then cross, twist, cross, twist, twist. And that just made one of these stitches.
Just slide my camera.
Yeah.
Sure, come on in. Yeah, so it just made one of these.
Thank you.
Wow.
Now, inside this clover leaf, that's a cloth stitch. So you would just do cross, twist, cross. And then inside these over here, it's just cross, twist. A cross, twist, pin, cross, twist.
Do you have a pattern, or you just know how to do it?
I have a pattern. That's
Okay.
a nice that they didn't.
They didn't.
Well, they had hand drawn. It's called a pricking, and it's if you move in, it's on the pillow. You can see it here, and everywhere that there's a dot, that's where a pin will go.
Oh, okay.
Well, they hand drew them and passed them mother to daughter and whoever, or the lace merchants would supply one
For what they wanted.
for what they wanted, and then everybody made one. And when they were reproduced, we are lucky enough. We have books, so we know what it looks like. This is what the original looked like. The one that Alexander Hamilton had in his papers. This is what the reproduced one looks like, and it's been cleaned up. It's been straightened up. Now, you'll see mistakes in them. Some of this is damage from being cut, but there are mistakes. They didn't have good lighting. They didn't have good equipment. And the longer you use this pricking, your needle or your pinholes get bigger. They didn't have a lot of pins. Where I have all these pins to hold
They
things.
had to reuse.
They kept reusing just a few pins. They didn't have even a dozen. A lot of them didn't even have a dozen, 2 dozen pins. They were too expensive. They would use bones. So sometimes you'll hear bobbin lace being referred to as either pillow lace, because this is a pillow. There are a lot of different types of pillows, but this is a pillow. Or bone lace, because they would use clean dried bones for either the pins or the bobbins.
Gotcha.
And there's a picture of an Ipswich pillow on the display poster over here. Now they used a bolster pillow, which is kind of a blob, and it was stuffed with seagrass. That was local. It was Massachusetts. You had your seagrass. They dry it and just pack it really tight and cover it with whatever fabric they had, whether it was old clothing, rags, whatever they needed. And for the bobbins, they cut and dried reeds because they had them.
Yeah. Well, you make do with what you have.
Yes, they would use sticks, they would use bones, just whatever they have. Even now. Okay, I demonstrate, so I have they match and, everything else, but when I taught my Girl Scouts how to do it, we got dowel rods, real thin dowel rods, put pony beads up for the shaft, a couple on top for the head.
Yeah.
They work just as well. And there are a lot of different types of bobbins depending on the style of lace. Some are bigger, because you can make this with yarn. You just need bigger bobbins, bigger pins, bigger pricking, bigger pillow.
Is it still considered lace if you use yarn?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
It's all in the way you do it.
Yeah.
Like you could come up with somewhat that same pattern coming out here on crocheting.
Very similar. You can
Similar.
get yeah, and that's still lace.
But
Yep.
I'm a crocheter.
Okay. And see, I crochet too, but as a crocheter, you have the option, if you see a mistake, you just unravel.
Yeah.
You have to work everything in reverse.
Right.
And if, say, you have a mistake. Okay, here you could have to take all of this out to get to that because the threads travel.
Yeah.
So you just reverse.
So let it go and hope they don't recognize.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That too.
I've done a lot of that too.
Absolutely. If they want perfect, they can get machine lace.
Well, there's not as many people that know what perfect is when it comes to this these days.
Right.
You know, they
True.
wouldn't notice a small mistake that you or I would notice.
Right.
So you can get by with some of that and not have to unravel or unpin. But
then we sit and we just look at
I know
those.
you see the mistake.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
you know it's there, but
Yeah.
do you want to go back through all that? Depending on what you're doing it for.
When they started bringing the machines over to make lace, the machines would make, this is called the ground, we'll say kind of like the background.
Yeah.
That's a good way to say it. It could make that, so they would hire the now out of work lace makers to come in and embroider on the lace to make it look like
That.
like this, or they would make like applique. They would do on a flat cookie pillow. They would make, say, flowers. They would make individual flowers, and they would attach them to the netting that they did.
But it
So-
wasn't actually woven in. It was attached.
It was attached. Yeah. You hang them in pairs. So you'll have two bobbins, and basically half of the thread will be on one and half will be on the other. And you hang it over a pin.
Okay.
And you hang two pairs or more depending on what design you're coming into.
Mhm.
So just to simplify it, we'll say we're hanging two
Okay.
for the first stitch, just to simplify. So you would hang them on and then just start. The whole for stitching is cross and twist. So you would make your first cross and twist, put the pin in, cross, twist, lock it, and then pull out that pin that you hung it on,
Yeah.
and it
Just does its
just
magic.
starts it out. So you have your little loop there at the
Okay.
beginning, and that big loop is from that thicker thread. That's it. It's called a
Okay.
gimp thread, and that's the an outline.
So
Right.
when you're doing this, how do you know which pairs to keep going, or you just kind of go haphazardly, or you know?
Well, we're lucky enough to have working diagrams now, but when you look at it, simplifies it, but because I mean, even me, I don't always know. If you just let the threads fall, like this would, if I didn't have it pushed over, it would hang off over here.
Okay.
And you see this one hangs off this way. Those two cross, if they were laying out, they would cross right there at that dot.
Okay.
That dot is where a pin needs to be.
Okay.
So you know that those two would go into that stitch.
So if you were doing this pattern, how long would it take you to make what you have now done? Like if you were just at home, just in your own little world.
Pretty much, they say the rule of thumb, if it's something narrow, which this is kind of narrow, it's not an overly intricate pattern, under great working conditions, if you're a fast worker, very familiar with the pattern, maybe an inch an hour.
Oh wow. That's still a lot of bobbins.
And then, yes, but then you think of the women in Ipswich that made 42,000 yards of it in a year.
That's wild. You said
So
there's
they-
600
600 women.
women that in their 601 houses.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Everybody was doing it then.
Yeah, that was that's what it took. So that's why it's known as Ipswich lace, or American Ipswich, because there's an Ipswich, England. That's where the people that settled our Ipswich
Yeah.
were from Ipswich, so they named it for home. But they're completely different laces.
It's really cool.
So, but like to make this stitch there. Maybe cross, twist, cross, twist. And you put that pin in. That holds it where you want the stitch to be. And then cross, twist, cross, twist, twist. But you can have a bigger piece with less bobbins if it's not as intricate or something.
Yeah.
Or you can have little pieces with hundreds. Tablecloths, you have hundreds and hundreds of bobbins.
How would you know where to go? Like, you just kind of make a run and then go to the other side of the pattern and do a run of it, or?
Not really, because like, what do I want to say? To be able to do this little motif here, like the clover, this, in order to do that, I have to have this section done because I need these threads to come in here. But I also need to have over here done because these have to come into the pattern from this way.
Yeah.
So, but in order to get over here, you have to have some of this done. So
it's almost like a Rubik's Cube.
Yes, yeah, it can be. But then there are others, like when I get down here in this spot of, they call it ground, where it's just those stitches, that I'll just go, you know, you're just doing diagonal.
Yeah, so you work in a diagonal
right.
pretty much. Okay. Yeah. I don't know if you went back and forth or.
There, yeah, like these are, the ground's diagonal, but in my clover here, I'll go, this will be the first stitch in it. I go from there to here, to there, to here, you go back and forth and get all those ready. But then you also, because it's outlined, you have to get that thicker thread over here, and then it has to make its way around, and there's a certain path it has to follow.
Yeah.
To be in the right place as these go.
Yeah.
That is the unknown soldier behind us. We were talking to one of the curators here at Fort Lawrence. They actually believe that it is John Clark. They can't prove it through DNA. He had no future descendants. But based on the fact that he was one of the higher ups, he would have been given a casket, whereas they didn't do that to the others. And so this individual was in a casket. So that's why they think that it was John Clark. But again, they can't prove it 100%. But based on that, that's why they think that that's him.
All right. Well, it was a somewhat good day, even though Fort Downright.
Woo!
It's wonderful.
It looks beautiful. I think I'll just put the light on.
We saw a couple demonstrations, and I think
Yeah.
you recorded some. And,
I did.
But they're packing up because the rain's coming back.
Yes, they
And
said.
we want to get on the road before we get in the middle of it. So.
Yeah, they said there's another big storm
big
coming
storm
in around
coming.
too. So
But we made some contacts for the event we want to do at the school,
Mm-hmm.
and hey, I got out of the house.
you did. It was so exciting. You
Yes,
got to
I
go
was
someplace
actually in
for
the
the
car
first
for an
time.
hour, got another hour.
Yeah.
I don't know, seemed to be doing pretty decent. So, all right, folks, anything else you want to add?
No.
Okay, folks, till next time,
Thanks for watching.
and happy hunting.
Let us know if you like this video by hitting that thumbs up. Also, if you'd like to see more videos from us in the future, support our channel by hitting that subscribe button and dinging that bell so you get notified the next time there's a video from Panic D Videos.
Thanks for watching.
Happy hunting!